Hi students, so this lecture for BBA 4th SEM, and in the last lecture we saw the opening entries in the books of the transfer company under the interest pooling method, or you can say the merger method, how to pass the opening entries in the books of the transfer company. And I hope all of you understand that the opening entries in the books of the what transfer company. So these six entries are theirs. Okay, so for adjustment of purchase considerations, how to pass the journal entries, or for incorporation of assets, liabilities and reserve, for this purpose how to pass the journal entries. Okay, so for this, each assets account debit, film expense account debit, profit and loss account debit, discount on issue of shares account debit, capital loss if any, is there any a difference is there, so this we have to take as a debit, and then to each liability account credit, to reserve a profit and loss account credit, to business purchase account credit. Okay, so for adjustment of excess purchase consideration over share capital of transferor company, for this is the journal entries like this you have to pass. Okay, so like these six entries are there, so you have to pass. Okay, so now in this session we will see the how to pass the opening entries in the books of the what's in the books of the purchase method. Okay, in the or the in the transfer book, with the help of the which method, the purchase method. Okay, so now only 7 entries are there for this, and it's very easy entries are there. Okay, so on this the problem will come for the 10 marks. Okay, so it means what, so you have to prepare what's the purchase consideration or the closing entries in the books of the transferor company, and the opening entries in the books of the what's transferee company. Okay, so like this we have to do. And one more thing is, under this method, no, under this purchase method, the opening entries. Okay, so all the assets and liabilities, what all the assets and the liabilities taken over by the transfer company, right, the taken over by the transfer company, and recorded at agreed values. It's recorded at what's agreed value. And if there is any difference, what if there is any difference between the purchase consideration and net assets of transferor company, it is adjusted in a goodwill or the capital reserve. Okay, so it is what's the, it will adjusted in a goodwill or the capital reserve. Okay, so this is very important things. Now we will see how to pass the journal entries under this purchase method. Okay, so for the adjustment of purchase considerations, what for the adjustment of the purchase considerations, what's the entries we have to pass? Business purchase account debit, to liquidator or transferor company account credit. Okay, what's the business purchase account debit, to liquidator or transfer company account credit. Okay, so like this you have to pass the journal entries for the adjustment of the purchase consideration. So next in transaction is what's for this incorporation, oh sorry, for incorporating the assets and liabilities. Okay, for the incorporating means the new assets and liabilities, for this how to pass the journal entries. Each assets account debit. Okay, so the each assets account, whatever the assets are there, new assets for this transfer company, so these assets we have to take the name wise, means the land account, building account. Okay, so cash account, bank account, debtors account, bills receivable account, like this individually each accounts we have to take. Okay, so next goodwill account debit. Okay, so goodwill account, is there any difference, is there any difference means with which difference, if the purchase consideration and the net assets. Okay, suppose there are two companies, A company and the B company, and the B company is taken over the A company. Okay, and B company is ready to give the agreed value to the A company, right? So this is the purchase consideration. Okay, so whatever the difference between the purchase consideration and whatever this A means transferor company having the net assets, okay, of the transferor company, so what is the difference is there, so this difference is adjusted in the goodwill or the capital reserve. Okay, so this is the goodwill. Okay, so this goodwill account debit, to each liability account credit, to business purchase account credit, to capital reserve account any difference, so this is also we have to what's debit. Okay, so if it is loss, it is the what's the if it is the loss or if it is the profit, then loss if it is, then the goodwill, then the profit if it is the reserve. Okay, so like this you have to pass the incorporating the assets and liabilities. Okay, so in the this third transaction is what's for maintaining development, what for maintaining, sorry. So for the second goodwill account, this is also finished. Okay, so now see this entry number 3, for maintaining development rebate reserve, investment allowance reserve, export profit reserve, etc. Okay, so for this purpose how to pass the journal entries. So amalgamation adjustment account debit to such reserve or statutory reserve is account credit. Okay, so like this we have to pass the journal entries for the maintaining development rebate reserve, investment allowance reserve, and the export profit reserve. Okay, so next for this fourth in transaction is what's for cancellation, okay, of as per the law. Okay, so cancellation of the statutory reserve, if there is any cancel of the statutory reserve as per the what's law, okay, as per the rules and regulations, then how to pass the journal entries. Statutory reserve account debit to amalgamation adjustment account credit. Okay, statutory reserve account debit to amalgamation adjustment account credit. Okay, so like this how to pass the journal entries for the cancellation of the statutory reserve. Next, fifth one, for settlement of purchase considerations. If there is any settlement, it means they have to settlement in between the transferring company and the transfer company. So this settlement, how for the purchase considerations, how to pass the journal entries. Liquidators of transfer company account debit, discount on issue of shares account debit, discount on issue of debentures account debit, to share capital account what credit. Okay, to share capital account credit. Like this have to pass the journal entries for the settlement of the purchase consideration. As well as the to share premium account debit, debentures account debit to bank account what's the debit. Okay, so like this I have to pass the journal entries. Okay, so next sixth one, for payment of realization expenses of transferee company, for payment of realization expenses of transferee company. So for this purpose how to pass journal entries. Goodwill or capital reserve account debit to bank or cash account debit. Okay, what's that goodwill or capital reserve account debit to bank or cash account credit. So next for the last one, this is what seventh one, for formation expenses incurred by transferee company. Okay, so whatever the for the formation purpose, whatever the expenses incurred by the transferee company, no, so for that purpose how to pass the journal entries. Premium expenses account debit to bank or cash account credit. Okay, so like this how to pass the journal entries under the transferee book if it is the in the nature of the purchase method. Okay, if it is the problem is related in the nature of the purchase method, then you have to pass the journal entries like this. Okay, so all of you write these three steps. Okay, whatever I explained on the these problems means the steps, all these things you have to write in your notebook. It means whatever the purchase consideration we covered. Next step is what's the closing entries in the books of the transferor company, and third this is one nothing but what's the incorporating entries or the opening entries in the books of the transferee company. Okay, so whatever I explained these entries you have to what's note down on your notebook step wise. While solving the problem you will it will be the help. Okay, so as well as you will be the understand also. Okay, so I hope you will be the understand. Thank you.